Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by a man who has had an excellent start to the season. Another green arrow this week, Jian, and yeah, into the top 65k now. It's going very well. In this video, we're going to be having a look at Jian's transfer plans and team for the upcoming game week and getting some overall advice from Jian off the back of a, really great start to the season, mate.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the season and a very good week. Thankfully, it was saved after a bleak Saturday. Guardiola gold and a Salah and a Sales all to make it a nice green arrow into a 5-figure rank.
Yeah, I mean, very, very strong. Let's get the team up on screen right now. And yeah, 55 points in a week where a lot of people didn't do that well at all. I mean, you've gained, 21 points over me in 1 week. And 34 wasn't even the worst rank. I mean, there were a lot of scores in the 20s.
Yeah.
Very, very few returns this week. But yeah, you kind of smashed it with Salah, Gvardio, and Sels. Let's just talk about those three in particular and just why they're in your team and how well they've done for you, really.
So Sels, I think, is now on the same points as Ryan. He's been magnificent. I think the reason I really liked him is a few things. One, Nuno's structure and his philosophy. It's very different to most managers in the Premier League nowadays. He's far more willing to concede space, not try to press as high, not try to have as many high turnovers, block low. And he's also got a very physical side, which he's willing to use a lot of his physical players and not just rely on his transitional threat from wingers. He's willing to concede that in those bigger games. They're not too insistent on playing out from the back. You look at Milenkovic, right? And he shored up the defense a lot, but they're not really looking to progress from central areas, deep central areas as well. So I think in terms of the chances they concede, they'll never concede too many in a game. But the shot volume is enough on the other side where he can accumulate those saves. So that's great for him. Salah is, I think I'm planning to just never sell him. Maybe for a 3-week period when he has City, Newcastle, Everton. But even from a low volume, he's been so clinical that, and with penalties, I think his ceiling is just so high and floor. I think Gvardio, obviously everybody knows his open play goal threat, right? And that's what I mainly brought him in for. And I'm starting to think now he could be quite a long-term hold as a result as well.
Yeah, that's the thing with these three players. Like, they're not in many teams at all, really. I mean, Salah, yes, but when you look at sort of the general state of play across, socials, YouTube, Twitter, whatever it is, from engaged managers like yourself, Salah is not in loads and loads of teams. Guardiola as well. I mean, a lot of people have Lewis now, and Sels is not that highly owned at all. And I think, those three obviously are the reason that you've done well this week. Let's talk about Foden though. So Foden came in for you. Now, surprised perhaps to see him not start that. Well, yeah, it was a surprise to see him not start that game. So let's just talk about him first of all. Yeah, coming off the bench, and then we'll talk about him going forward. Yeah,
sure. So obviously when he was benched, I was really surprised when I saw that news. But it happens and it's Pep. So if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him. To get a 4-pointer, honestly, when Sung got an 8-pointer in a game where West Ham was so open and the assist got taken away, rightfully so, but anyway, I think it's actually like a pretty decent start for my owning Foden period, especially when he's got Southampton at home next, right? Now, Pep said that when Phil's feeling better, he's playing so much better. Which those type of comments always like scare me a little bit when it comes to Pep, because you never know. So I'm kind of just hoping he starts next game. I can't really do anything before Southampton at home, so hopefully he starts. I thought Gundo and Silva weren't the best in the middle, so I'm hoping he takes one of their spots and it works out.
Yeah, exactly. Like City did not play very well. Let's be frank. I mean, they didn't. Yeah, they dominated the ball, but they didn't have that many chances. I mean, Haaland didn't have a chance really at all. And yeah, you're going to need a little bit more creativity, you think, going forward. But anyway, here is the team on screen. And you've got to remember as well, guys, that Jian hasn't wildcarded yet, which is looking at players like Barco and Hall, even Winks, to be fair. I mean, Winks is still fine. But yeah, that is the reason why those players in particular are still in the side. So to be at 62k, and still have the wild card in your back pocket is a very, very strong position to be in. But yeah, looking at the rest of the team in general, are you happy with it? It looks relatively strong. Not the highest Gameweek rating, team rating percentages as we said, but again, it's one of those where it's been going so well for you. Why try and massively change what's going on, right?
Yeah, so I'd like to essentially have one more free transfer than I do, just to give myself a bit more flexibility. I would like Semenyo from 11-12, I guess, but I don't really like him for this run, especially because he plays Consa and then Guardiola for me, and the fixtures aren't great anyway. I would like to potentially get Palmer quite soon, maybe as soon as next week by selling Foden. But without rolling this week, it's pretty tough. I also would like to sell Semenyo to McNeil, as mentioned, and then I am considering selling Haaland in game week 10 as well. So I probably have to roll if I'm to commit to that strategy. And the
Oof.
last thing is I ideally want to get Ryan Aït-Nouri from 10, but there's a lot of moves to make in 10, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I would like an extra transfer.
So how many transfers do you have right now?
I have one. I just need one extra, basically. But
Okay.
yeah. So I'll just have to. Oh, and I could also sell DCL to Cunha because I have the money. So I'm gonna have to miss out on some opportunity. I'm not sure which one though.
I feel like at your rank, with the wildcard still in the back pocket, you're all right to miss out on yeah, you can't have the optimal team each week, let's be fair. And really, have you considered, I mean, there are a lot of moves there. Have you considered going aggressive and wildcarding and then building your transfers back up? Because obviously it is different this year with being able to roll through transfers through chips and then being able to build that back up to, 4 or 5. You potentially can go more aggressive with a wildcard rather than using it to bail yourself out. Have you considered potentially going there?
I have. The thing is, I think with a wild card, you're still looking at potentially 15 changes, right? And
Yeah.
even if you look at something like 10 or 11, 4 or 5 isn't even close. And that's on the assumption that no issues crop up there. So I do think that strategy is slightly overrated. And the other thing is, I look at all the wildcard windows in the short term, even 12, and I just don't really like them. My initial plan was to wildcard in 12, but I might just delay it because my team is pretty decent by that standpoint.
Okay. That's what you're thinking with your transfers then. Roll, I guess. Let's have a look at what the AI is saying though, and if it's recommending any different. Okay, mate, here we go. Here is your recommendation. Your recommendation, which you're probably happy to hear, is to bank your free transfer for this week. But there is an alternative as well, and it's an interesting one based on what we've just seen in the last week. And again, I'm not sure you'd even consider doing this because Calvert-Lewin again has a pretty good fixture. But the recommendation, if you don't want to roll, which you said you would, so that's fair enough, but something to think about, is going from Calvert-Lewin to Wood.
I had a feeling when you saw Calvert, when you say Calvert-Lewin. I think Chris Wood is such a great option. There are so many things about him I like. I like the fact that a lot of chances are falling at his feet, in particular due to the system makeup. I like the fact that with his specific profile, a lot of the he's doing a lot of off the ball work, but not so much off the ball work, which is making goals for others. More so, it's just for himself. So I really like him as an option. I think the fixtures are strong. I think he could be relatively fixture proof. But I do think if I'm going to pivot, I'm going to go for Cunha just because the fixtures extend for a long period of time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just whether the window for Wood is sort of drawing to a close a little bit. Obviously, the fixtures are still good, but that Wolves fixture run is crazy. Can I just talk? I want to ask you actually between Cunha and
John Larson.
yeah, exactly. I was going to say I was about to say Seb Larson. I was like, that's not his name. What a player he was, by the way. Very average. No disrespect if you're watching Seb, but yeah, Strand Larson. What about him? Is he a potential option over Cunha?
Yeah, he's decent, but I just think with Cunha's set pieces, probably having penalties, maybe slightly higher expected minutes, and just general overall quality. I think over a long enough span, or even a short span, you can get a bit more out of Cunha. And I just feel so much more secure with a player like Cunha, especially when they're cheap anyway. I'd rather take that extra bit of security. So I would personally go Cunha, although I don't think Strand Larsen's the worst punt in the world. The only thing that I find it a little bit more difficult to justify is when Jimenez is in such good form. And even at that mid price point, like between Strand Larsen and Cunha, would exist where you could go for him.
Let's before we round off this video, I do just want to move ahead to game week 10 and just actually like put in place some of the transfers you've been talking about. The recommendation from the AI was to roll, and guys, as always, if you want to see your own recommendations, there's a 7-day free trial right now. Go and click the link in the description. You'll get personalized recommendations for your team. But yeah, just want to go to game week 10. Can you run me through what you're thinking right now? Obviously, this is a week and a half away, but nonetheless, just so we can have a visualization. This is one of the things I love doing because you can actually see how your team looks on Fantasy Football Hub. So yeah, what are your thoughts right now with those potential 2 frees?
So there's a lot we could do. The first would be to take out Winks and Haaland, and then go Palmer and Watkins.
Wow, that's strong. That really is very strong. But obviously you're losing Haaland, but.
For me, though, I don't think I'm captaining him in 10. I think Bournemouth at home are good. And Salah at home to Brighton, that is a fixture I really like. The only downside to that is Haaland will have Brighton away next week where I'd probably like to captain him. But I'm sure I could figure something out. I think I'll have enough to go Foden to Son or something if I need to do that anyway.
Yeah, you would.
I
Yeah.
would like to get Saka back in maybe for Foden sometime, or maybe just keep Foden as my City coverage. But the team becomes very strong there. Alternatively, in 10, I'd quite like Ait Nori, so he could come in for like a Lewis Hall. Because I think Konza from 12 is sound, so my defense will be pretty much bulletproof from that point on. Um, and then if I don't do that, I could genuinely roll again because how can I sell DCL when he has Southampton away, right? Maybe I
Yeah.
sell him in 11 when Wolves have Southampton and I get Cunha that week and then just like have two frees for the foreseeable future.
This is the thing with Calvert-Lewin. Like he's getting great chances, and you'd
Yeah.
expect at some point it's a turn with these like he's not going to stop getting chances with these fixtures. The next four are great. So I know that AI is recommending to sell him to Wood, but I think that's just because Wood is just a little bit of a level above. It's not that Calvert-Lewin is necessarily a bad pick. He just
Yeah.
needs to find his finishing. Do you think he will? Do you think he's a hold?
I think he's a hold-ish, but I actually don't think like he's going to find his finishing.
Oh,
Really,
really?
I have no expectations over
Yeah.
Fulham and Southampton. Like if I get anything, great. If I don't, I'm kind of expecting of that now. He's missed so many. It's not even the fact that I've just lost hope. It's just I think when the player is a bit down on confidence, and he's not like he's playing for like Prime City where they're going to get a stupid amount of chances.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised for this to continue, and so be it.
Yeah, interesting. And actually, I respect and appreciate the fact that you said that because I I am one of those people that doesn't always like look at the stats and then if someone's got amazing stats, say okay, returns are coming. I think a lot of the time it's better to actually like look at the individual player, which this is what you do, obviously. Like you actually watch them and say, okay, they've had a lot of big chances here, but did they actually really look like scoring any of them? Were the finishes good? A couple of Calvert-Lewin ones, I'm not sure the finishes were that good at all, really. They were sort of straight at the keeper. I know he's trying to beat him, go to the opposite side that the keeper's diving to, but I think a much more cultured finisher or someone, or maybe even a Calvert-Lewin that's in better form would potentially go and try and go around him, do something different rather than sort of slightly hit and hope. I don't know. There's an argument to say that if he's getting that number of chances, returns will come, which is what a lot of people would say. But I guess you're saying that if he's low on confidence, then does that really matter? I suppose.
Yeah, I think, for example, you look at the one towards the end of the game against Ipswich, and there's a poor finish. You look at the one against Newcastle, which Pope saves. He should probably do better. And there's a few others. He has got a bit unlucky because he created a big chance for Decore in one of the games at home. And that is probably another stat that I don't think has been used by many people. So it's more like 6 or 7 big chance involvements. But
Oof.
it happens, and I guess that's like what you pay for, right? You pay for
Yeah.
5 point at 5.9. You know this is the risk. And to those who went Chris Wood, good on him because he's been absolutely brilliant.
Okay, there we go. Thank you very much, mate, as always, for those tips and advice. 62k at this stage of the season is very impressive because it has been a pretty topsy-turvy season. I feel like I say this every week, but I'm pretty happy with how I've played, and I'm at 1.5 million. Obviously, the points are still relatively close together. I think we're something like 60 points apart. But right now that's like 2 game weeks worth of points. To be fair, so it's going to be tough to get that back. But yeah, here's to hoping for another green arrow for you next week.
Hopefully,
And to all of you guys watching as well. Jian, just a quick word before we go. Where can people find you if they want more from you and to follow your journey week in, week out?
So they can find me on YouTube at FPL Jian Batra. I'll also be in the comments, so you can subscribe there, and on Twitter, FPL Jian Batra as well.
There we go. Thank you, mate. And we'll catch you guys all next week.